I never thought I'd be the kind of man who'd walk away from his own family. But then again, I never thought my stepdaughter would look me in the eye and tell me I wasn't worth a seat at her graduation ceremony. Let me back up. My name is David. I'm 62 years old now, and for the past 17 years, I've been what most people would call a devoted father. Except I'm not her father. Not really. Not according to her. Anyway, I met Christine when Emma was just 5 years old. Christine was a single mom working 2 jobs in Vancouver, trying to keep her head above water after her ex-husband, Paul, had walked out on them. Left her with a mortgage she couldn't afford and a little girl who kept asking when Daddy was coming home. Paul had been a different person when Christine married him. Charming, ambitious, full of promises. They'd met at university, got married young, had Emma right away. But fatherhood didn't suit him the way he thought it would. The late nights, the crying, the responsibility. He started staying out later, coming home less. By the time Emma was 3, he was barely there at all. When Emma turned 4, Paul sat Christine down and told her he'd made a mistake. Marriage wasn't for him. Fatherhood wasn't for him. He needed to find himself, whatever that meant. He moved to Toronto 2 weeks later and blocked Christine's number. That was the man whose daughter I would spend the next 17 years raising. I was an architect back then, doing pretty well for myself. Had just finished a major project downtown, a sustainable housing complex that won some awards. I was 45, never married, always too focused on my career to settle down. My friends kept telling me I was going to wake up one day and regret not having a family. I met Christine at a coffee shop near Stanley Park on a Saturday morning in March. I was sketching ideas for a new project, and she was at the next table helping Emma with her kindergarten homework. Emma was struggling with her letters, getting frustrated, and Christine was being so patient with her. "It's okay, sweetie. Let's try again." M-M-A. "That's you." Emma tried again, her little hand gripping the pencil so tight her knuckles were white. When she finally got it right, she looked up at her mom with the biggest smile I'd ever seen. That's when she dropped her red crayon. It rolled across the floor and stopped right at my feet. When I handed it back to her, she looked at me with these huge brown eyes and said, "Thank you, mister. Red is my favorite because it's brave." "Why is red brave?" I asked, crouching down to her level. "Because fire trucks are red, and they run into fires when everyone else runs away." I was done for right then and there. Christine apologized for her daughter bothering me. I told her it was no trouble at all. We started talking. She told me about her struggles, her 2 jobs, her ex-husband who'd disappeared. I told her about my work, my projects, my empty apartment that was too big for one person. We exchanged numbers. I called her that night. Christine and I dated for 2 years before I proposed. I wanted to make sure Emma was comfortable with me, that I wasn't rushing into something that would hurt her. Those 2 years were some of the best of my life. Emma was 7 by then, and she'd started calling me Dave naturally. Not Dad, just Dave. I was fine with that. I wasn't trying to replace anyone. I just wanted to be there. I remember the first time I picked Emma up from school. She came running out with a painting she'd made, all bright colors and stick figures. "Look, Dave, I made this for you." It was a picture of 3 people holding hands. A tall man, a woman, and a little girl between them. "That's us," she said proudly. "That's our family. I still have that painting. It's in a storage unit somewhere in Vancouver, along with everything else from my old life." Paul, the biological father, had disappeared completely by then. No child support, no birthday cards, no phone calls. It was like he'd evaporated. Christine tried to track him down a few times through lawyers, but he'd changed his phone number, moved apartments, made himself impossible to find. Eventually, she gave up. So I stepped up. I married Christine when Emma was 8. We had a small ceremony at a vineyard in the Okanagan. Emma was our flower girl. She took the job very seriously, practiced walking down the aisle for weeks beforehand. During our vows, Emma tugged on Christine's dress and whispered, "Can I say something?" Christine looked at me, and I nodded. Emma turned to face everyone and said, "I'm really happy Dave is going to be my dad now. He makes really good pancakes and he doesn't yell when I spill things." Everyone laughed. I cried. It was the happiest day of my life. I paid off Christine's mortgage within 3 years. Moved us into a bigger place in North Vancouver with a yard where Emma could play. 4 bedrooms, big kitchen, close to good schools. Christine quit her second job, started taking night classes to finish her degree. I drove Emma to soccer practice every Tuesday and Thursday. Helped her with her math homework even though algebra made my head spin. Paid for braces when she was 12, $6,800 for 2 years of orthodontic work. Sent her to that expensive summer camp in Whistler where she learned to rock climb and came home talking about how she wanted to be a doctor who helped people in remote areas. Like the doctors who climb mountains to reach villages, she told me, eyes shining with excitement. I want to do that, Dave. Then we'll make it happen, I told her. And I meant it. When Emma was 14, she came home from school one day quieter than usual. I found her in her room, staring at her phone. What's wrong, kiddo? She showed me her phone. It was a Facebook message from Paul. He'd found her through Christine's profile. He says he wants to talk to me, Emma said. He says he's sorry he left. My stomach dropped, but I kept my voice steady. What do you want to do? I don't know. Is it weird that I don't really care? Like, I know he's my biological dad, but you're my dad, Dave. You're the one who's been here. I hugged her tight. Whatever you decide, I support you. He's your biological father. And if you want to talk to him, that's okay. If you don't, that's okay too. She never responded to that message. Paul sent a few more over the next couple of months, then stopped. I thought that was the end of it. I should have known better. When Emma was 16, she decided she wanted to be a doctor. Not the mountain climbing kind anymore, but the kind who worked in emergency rooms and saved lives. I want to help people, Dave, she told me over dinner one night. Like you helped us. You saved me and Mom when we had nothing. Christine reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Emma smiled at both of us. I want to make you proud, she added. You already do, I said. And I meant it. I refinanced our house to pay for her undergraduate degree at UBC. $68,000 for 4 years. Then another $89,000 for medical school at the University of Toronto. I flew out to visit her twice a year, brought her care packages, took her out for nice dinners when she was too stressed to think about anything but exams. Emma would call me every Sunday without fail. Tell me about her rotations, her residency applications, the boy she was dating named Marcus, who was also in medical school. She told me about the tiny apartment she shared with 3 roommates, how she was living on instant noodles, but it would all be worth it when she became Dr. Emma Whitmore. I can't wait for you to see me graduate, Dave, she said during one of those calls in her final year. You're the one who made this possible. None of this would exist without you. I believed her. Marcus seemed like a good kid. Came from money. His parents owned a chain of dental clinics across Ontario. But he was humble about it, worked hard, treated Emma well from everything she told me. When she brought him home to Vancouver for Christmas in her 3rd year of medical school, I liked him immediately. Sir, I want you to know how much I respect what you've done for Emma, he told me over coffee while the women were out shopping. She talks about you all the time. How you stepped up when her biological father left. How you put her through school. I hope I can be half the man you are. I appreciated that. Thought he was sincere. Last March, Emma called with big news. She'd matched for her residency at Toronto General Hospital, one of the most competitive programs in the country. Even better, she and Marcus were getting married in August. We want to do it properly, she said, voice bubbling with excitement. A real wedding at the Fairmont Royal York. Marcus's parents are helping with their side, and we were hoping, Dave, will you walk me down the aisle? I had to sit down when she asked me that. My hands were shaking. Emma, are you sure? Have you thought about what? You're my dad. You've always been my dad. I don't care about biology or paperwork. You're the one who raised me. You're the one I want walking beside me on the biggest day of my life. I couldn't speak for a moment. Finally, I managed. It would be my honor. When I hung up, Christine was standing in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. We hugged and talked about how all the sacrifice had been worth it. Our little girl was going to be a doctor and a wife. Everything we'd worked for was coming together. I started planning immediately. Booked the venue for the reception. The Fairmont had a $15,000 venue fee alone. Hired the caterer Emma wanted, the one who did that 5-course menu with locally sourced ingredients. $12,000 for 150 guests. Arranged for a string quartet tree. 200. Found a photographer who specialized in elegant, timeless shots. $4,500. Put down deposits on everything. Emma sent me her Pinterest board with dress ideas. She'd found the one she loved at a boutique in Toronto. 5,000 $5 plus alteration. I sent her the money the same day. You're going to look beautiful, I told her, over FaceTime as she showed me photos of herself in the fitting room. I feel like a princess, Dave. Thank you for everything. Seriously, I know this is expensive. Don't worry about the cost. This is your day. You deserve everything you want. Over the next few months, I probably spent another $15,000 on various wedding expenses. Flowers, decorations, the rehearsal dinner, accommodations for Christine and me. Every time Emma called asking if something was okay, I said yes. Every time Marcus's parents suggested splitting something, I insisted on covering it. You're being too generous, Christine told me one night as I was going over the budget. It's Emma, I said simply. Nothing is too much for her. 2 weeks ago, I flew to Toronto to help with final preparations. Emma had been so busy with her residency that she was drowning in last-minute details. Vendor confirmations, seating charts, final payments. Dave, you're a lifesaver, she said when I told her I was coming. I don't know what I'd do without you. I stayed at a hotel downtown, the Chelsea on Gerrard Street. Nice place, close to Emma's apartment. The plan was to spend a few days helping her finalize everything. Then Christine would fly in the following week and we'd enjoy the wedding together. The second night I was there, I went to Emma's apartment to drop off some wedding programs I'd picked up from the printer. 500 programs at $1. 75 each. Small cost in the grand scheme of things. But I wanted to handle it so she didn't have to think about it. I had a key she'd given me months ago. Just in case you need to get in when I'm at the hospital, she'd said. Mi casa su casa, Dave. When I let myself in that evening around 7 p.m., I could hear voices in the living room. Emma was on the phone, but she must not have heard me come in because she was talking freely. The door to the living room was ajar. I was about to call out and let her know I was there when I heard her say something that stopped me cold. I know, Dad. I can't believe you're actually going to be there. I stood frozen in the hallway, my hand still on the doorknob. I've wanted you to walk me down the aisle since I was a little girl, Emma continued. Her voice was soft, emotional in a way I recognized. It was the way she sounded when something really mattered to her. I mean, Dave has been great and everything. He paid for school and he's been there. But you're my real father. This is how it's supposed to be, you know? My heart was pounding so hard I thought she might hear it. Marcus's parents are so traditional, she went on. They keep asking about my father, and I think it would be weird to have some random guy who married my mom give me away. Like, how do I even explain that? Oh, this is Dave. He's not my real dad, but he paid for everything? That's so awkward. She laughed. Actually laughed. Dave won't mind, she said. He's so understanding about everything. We'll just tell him we decided to keep the wedding party small. Immediate family only. He'll get it. He always gets it. And honestly, it's not like he's actually family anyway. He's just the guy who helped out. Just the guy who helped out. 17 years. Wushi Wensi. Every soccer game. Every parent-teacher conference. Every late-night homework session. Every time she called me crying about exams or boyfriends or stress. Every Sunday phone call. Every I love you, Dave. Every you're the best. Just the guy who helped out. I stood there in that hallway for what felt like an hour, but was probably only 30 seconds. My hands were numb. My chest felt tight. I couldn't breathe properly. Then I heard her say, I'm so glad you're back in my life, Dad. I know we lost a lot of years, but we can make up for it now. Starting with this wedding. It's going to be perfect. I turned around and walked out as quietly as I'd entered, closing the door with a soft click. Back in my hotel room, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall for hours. I didn't cry. I didn't call Christine. I didn't call Emma. I just sat there in the dark, listening to the sounds of traffic outside my window, trying to process what I'd just heard. Paul had come back. After 17 years of nothing, no child support, no birthday cards, no apologies, he'd reappeared. And Emma had welcomed him with open arms. More than that, she'd reduced me to just the guy who helped out. The man who married her mom. Nothing more. All those years, all those sacrifices, all those moments I thought mattered. None of it had mattered at all. Around midnight, I called Christine. Hey, honey, she answered, voice sleepy. Is everything okay? Did you get the programs? Did you know? I asked. There was a long pause. Too long. Know what? About Paul? About Emma's plans for the wedding? Another pause. Even longer this time. Dave, honey. She mentioned that Paul had reached out a few months ago. Months? I didn't think it was important. He wanted to reconnect, make amends for disappearing. I thought it was good for Emma to have closure with her biological father. She's getting married, starting a new chapter. It seemed like the right time. My hands were shaking. Did you know he was walking her down the aisle? The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know. She mentioned it might be nice if her biological father could be involved somehow, Christine finally said. But Dave, you're still invited to the wedding. You're still important to us. You're still family. I'm not though, am I? I'm just the guy who helped out. Dave, don't be like that. You know how much Emma loves you. I hung up. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat in that hotel room doing calculations in my head, tallying up 17 years of my life. Mortgage payments, when they had nothing. $187,000 over 5 years. Moving costs and down payment on the bigger house. 4,000,000 Emma's private school tuition. Grades 4 to 8. 96,000 Soccer leagues, equipment, tournament travel. 18,000 Piano lessons for 6 years. 96,000 Summer camps, school trips, extracurriculars. 16,400 Braces. 6,800 First car when she turned 17. 15,000 Car insurance for 3 years. 8,400 Undergraduate degree. 6,800 Medical school. 8,900 The wedding I was currently funding, $43,000 in deposits and counting. Total. 57,700 And that didn't include the smaller things. The winter coats, the school supplies, the laptop for university, the textbooks, the plane tickets home for Christmas and spring break every year. The birthday presents, the graduation gifts, the just because money I'd send when she mentioned something she wanted but couldn't afford. How much had Paul contributed in those 17 years? Nothing. Not $1. Not one birthday card. Not one phone call. And yet he was the real father. He was family. I was just the guy who helped out. At 2 a.m., I opened my laptop and started making calls. Phone calls, emails, emergency contact forms. Most places had 24-hour customer service lines. By sunrise, I'd canceled every vendor I'd booked for the wedding. The venue, the caterer, the photographer, the string quartet, the florist, the videographer, the rehearsal dinner reservation. Most of them had no refund policies, so I lost the deposits. Over $18,000 just gone. I didn't care. I called my bank and put a stop payment on the check I'd written for Emma's wedding dress. Then I called the boutique and told them to cancel the alterations. I contacted the University of Toronto's financial office and removed myself as the payer on Emma's student account. She still had one final year of medical school tuition to pay. That was Paul's problem now. Then I called my real estate agent in Vancouver. David, it's 6 a.m., she answered groggily. I need you to list the house, I said. I want it sold within 60 days. What? David, that's the house you and Christine built together. Are you sure? List it. Price it to sell fast. I don't care if we take a loss. There was a long pause. Is everything okay? Just list it, please. I'll draw up the papers today. I booked a flight back to Vancouver for that afternoon. Before I left the hotel, I went to the business center and printed out a single document. A spreadsheet I'd been keeping for years, not because I ever planned to use it against anyone, but because as an architect, I document everything. It's how my brain works. It showed every expense, every payment, every sacrifice, every time I'd chosen Emma's needs over my own wants. At the bottom, in bold 18-point font, Paul's financial contribution, 17 years. David's financial contribution, 17 years. 57,700 Paul's time investment, 17 years. 0 hours. David's time investment, 17 years. 61,320 hours, average, 10 hours day. Paul's attendance record. Birthday parties, Christmas mornings, parent-teacher conferences, soccer games, school plays and recitals, hospital visits when sick, graduations. David's attendance record. All of the above. I put it in an envelope along with a short letter I wrote by hand. Emma, you got your wish. Your real father can handle things from here. I'm sure he's got 17 years of back payments ready to go. The wedding is canceled. All of it. I've removed my name from your medical school account. Your final year tuition is due in September. Perhaps your real dad can cover it. The house in Vancouver is being sold. Your mother will receive her share of the equity. My contact information is changing. I wish you and Marcus all the happiness in the world. You're going to be a wonderful doctor. You're smart, capable, and resilient. But you're not my daughter. You made that clear. I was never your father. I was just the guy who helped out. Good luck with everything. I took a taxi to her apartment building and slipped it under her door. Then I went straight to the airport. When I got home to Vancouver that evening, Christine was waiting in the driveway. Her car was there, which meant she'd left work early. Her face was red and blotchy. She'd been crying. "What did you do?" she asked, her phone clutched in her hand. Emma had clearly called her. "I stopped funding someone else's daughter. She's our daughter, David." I looked at her for a long moment. This woman I'd loved for 17 years. This woman I'd built a life with. "No," I said calmly. "She's yours and Paul's daughter. I was just the guy who helped out. Remember?" Christine's face crumpled. "You heard the phone call." "I did, David. She didn't mean it like that. She's just confused. Paul showing up after all these years, the stress of the wedding, her residency starting. She's overwhelmed. She didn't mean. She meant every word," I said. "And so did you." "What?" "You knew. You knew for months that Paul was back. You knew she was planning to replace me at the wedding. And you didn't tell me." Christine tried to step closer, but I moved back. "I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd want Emma to have a relationship with her biological father. I did want that. If that's what she wanted. But she didn't just want a relationship, Christine. She wanted to erase me. To pretend I didn't matter. And you let her. That's not fair." "You stayed silent," I said. "When she said I wasn't her real father, you stayed silent. When she planned to exclude me from the wedding I was paying for, you stayed silent. When she reduced 17 years of my life to just helping out, you stayed silent." Christine was crying now. "I'm sorry. I should have told you. But David, please, don't throw away our entire family over this." "I'm not throwing it away. It was never mine to throw away. You both made that clear." I walked past her into the house and started packing. I filed for divorce on Monday morning. Christine tried to fight it at first, then realized I was serious. We'd had a prenup. I'd insisted on it when we got married, not because I didn't trust her, but because I'd seen too many ugly divorces in my life. Everything was clearly outlined. The house sold in 6 weeks to a young family from Hong Kong. We'd built up significant equity over the years. Once we split it, Christine got enough for a down payment on a smaller condo in Burnaby. I had enough to start over completely. Christine called me every day for the first month, crying, apologizing, begging me to reconsider. "Emma is devastated," she told me. "The wedding is ruined. She can't afford her final year of medical school. Paul promised to help, but now he's saying he can't. His wife in Toronto has kids from her previous marriage and they're struggling financially. Emma is talking about deferring her residency to work and pay down her student loans. That's unfortunate," I said. "David, please. She's learned her lesson. She knows she was wrong. That's important. Everyone should learn that actions have consequences." "You're being cruel." "No, Christine. I'm being fair. For 17 years, I gave everything. My time, my money, my heart. I raised her like she was my own because I loved her. Because I thought she loved me. But the moment her biological father showed up, I became invisible. I became disposable. I became just the guy who helped out. So now I'm done helping." Emma called too. Left voicemails that started angry and defensive. "Dave, this is insane. You're throwing away our entire family over a misunderstanding. I was just talking to Paul. It doesn't mean I don't care about you." Then the calls turned desperate. "Dave, please, pick up. The wedding is in 3 weeks. I don't know what to do. Everyone is asking questions. Marcus's parents want to know what happened. I can't explain this to anyone. Dad, I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. Can we please just talk about this?" Now I was dead. I didn't respond to any of it. Through mutual friends back in Vancouver, I heard the details. The wedding got significantly downsized. They couldn't afford the Fairmont anymore, so they moved it to Marcus's parents' backyard in Mississauga. About 60 people instead of the 150 they'd planned. No string quartet, no professional photographer, just Marcus's cousin with a nice camera. Christine made the cake herself. Paul walked Emma down the aisle, showed up in a rented tux, gave a speech at the reception about how proud he was of his daughter, the doctor, how he'd always known she'd do great things. He contributed $3,000 total to the wedding, then left early because he had to get back to Toronto for his stepson's hockey tournament. I also heard that Emma's student loans for her final year of medical school came due in September. $89,000 was already paid, but she still owed about $35,000 for her final year. Paul had promised to help, but then backed out. Something about unexpected expenses with his new family. Emma tried to negotiate a payment plan with the university, but they had strict policies. She ended up having to defer her residency by a year to work and save money. Got a job as a medical assistant at a clinic in Toronto. It paid okay, but it wasn't what she'd planned. Marcus apparently tried to help, but his own student loans were substantial, and his parents had already contributed to the wedding. There was only so much he could do. As for me, I moved to Vancouver Island in October. Bought a small house in Victoria, right in Fairfield, with a view of the water. 2 bedrooms, one for me and one for an office. Big windows, lots of light. I can see the Olympic Mountains on clear days. I joined a small architecture firm that specializes in sustainable housing and community projects. We design affordable housing for First Nations communities, retrofit old buildings to be more energy efficient, work with local governments on urban planning initiatives. The pay is less than what I made in Vancouver, but the work is meaningful. I started kayaking on the weekends, joined a book club at the local library. We're reading Margaret Atwood right now, started volunteering with Habitat for Humanity, using my architecture skills to help design homes for families who need them. I met a woman named Diane at a gallery opening in November. She's a widow, 58 years old, lost her husband to cancer 3 years ago. She's an art teacher at a local high school. We have coffee every Saturday morning at a cafe on Fort Street, and we talk about everything. Books, art, architecture, our pasts. She knows about Emma. She's kind about it, but doesn't coddle me. You did the right thing, she told me once. Love isn't supposed to be transactional, but respect is non-negotiable. They didn't respect you, so you respected yourself instead. I appreciate that about her. She's direct, honest. She doesn't try to fix things or make them better. She just listens. 3 months after I left, on Christmas Eve, I got a letter in the mail. A real letter. Handwritten on cream-colored stationery. The return address was Toronto. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Dave, I don't know if you'll read this, but I need to say it anyway. You were right. About everything. I took you for granted. For years, I took you for granted. I convinced myself that because you weren't my biological father, your sacrifices didn't count the same way. Like there was some kind of hierarchy of love, and blood mattered more than presence. When Paul came back into my life last spring, I was so desperate for him to be the father I'd imagined that I ignored the father I actually had. The one who showed up every single day. The one who never missed a soccer game or a parent-teacher conference. The one who paid for my entire education. The one who loved me unconditionally for 17 years. I thought that having my real dad at my wedding would fix something that was broken inside me. Like it would validate me somehow. Make me feel complete. But Paul left again right after the wedding. He said he'd done his part by showing up. He had to get back to his real family in Toronto. His stepkids had things going on. That was 3 months ago. I haven't heard from him since. Meanwhile, you were there for every single day of my life for 17 years. And I threw it away because I wanted some fantasy version of a father who never existed. The wedding was a disaster, not because of the downsizing or the lack of fancy decorations, but because the whole day, all I could think about was how wrong it felt that you weren't there. Marcus noticed. He kept asking if I was okay. I wasn't. When Paul walked me down the aisle, I felt nothing. No connection, no emotion. It was like walking next to a stranger, because that's what he is. A stranger who happens to share my DNA. In his speech, he talked about how proud he was of me. But he doesn't know me. He doesn't know that I hate cilantro because it tastes like soap. He doesn't know that I stress bake at midnight during exam season. He doesn't know that I used to practice my valedictorian speech in the car on the way to school and you'd pretend not to notice, but I knew you were listening. You knew all of that. You knew me, and I threw it all away. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve that. I just want you to know that I understand now what I lost. You weren't just the guy who helped out. You were my dad, the only one I ever really had. I'm sorry it took losing you to figure that out. I hope you're happy wherever you are. I hope you found peace. I hope you know that despite everything, despite how badly I messed this up, you mattered. You changed my life. You saved my life, probably, in ways I'll never fully understand. Thank you for being there when no one else was. Thank you for choosing us when you didn't have to. Thank you for 17 years of showing me what real love looks like, even though I was too blind to see it. I love you, Dave. I'm sorry I never said it enough when I had the chance. Love. I read that letter 5 times. Then I put it in a drawer in my office and went for a long walk along Dallas Road. The thing is, I believe her. I believe she's sorry. I believe she understands what she lost. But sorry doesn't undo 17 years of being taken for granted. Sorry doesn't erase being reduced to just the guy who helped out. Sorry doesn't change the fact that when it mattered most, when she had to choose, she didn't choose me. And Christine, she messages sometimes, updates on her life, asking how I am. I respond politely but briefly. We're cordial, civil, but we're not friends. We're not anything, really. Just 2 people who used to share a life. She tells me Emma asks about me, wants to know if I'm okay, if I'm happy. If I ever think about her, I don't respond to those messages. A year and a half has passed since I left. Emma graduated from medical school last June, completed her residency at Toronto General. She's an emergency medicine doctor now, working long shifts, saving lives, doing exactly what she always dreamed of doing. She sends me a Christmas card every year with a photo of her and Marcus. They look happy. The cards are always handwritten, just a few sentences. She never asks for anything, just updates me on her life, tells me about her patients, her work, her small victories. Last month, in March, I got an invitation in the mail, heavy cardstock, formal printing. Emma Whitmore cordially invites you to her white coat ceremony. Inside was a handwritten note. Dave, this is the ceremony where I officially become a practicing physician. It's a big deal in the medical community, a rite of passage. I know I don't deserve to ask this, and I'll understand completely if you say no. But I'd like you to be there. There's a seat saved for you in the front row. You made this possible, all of it, and I think you should be there to see what your sacrifices created, but only if you want to be. No pressure, no obligation. I just wanted you to know that you're welcome. You're always welcome. The ceremony is next week. I haven't decided yet if I'm going. Diane thinks I should. Not for her, she said. For you, for closure, so you can see that your 17 years mattered, even if they didn't matter the way you wanted them to. My therapist, yes. I see a therapist now, thinks I should do what feels right for me. There's no correct answer here, David. This isn't about what Emma deserves or doesn't deserve. It's about what you need. The truth is, I don't know what I need. Part of me wants to go. Wants to see her achieve this thing we worked toward together for so many years. Wants to feel proud of her. Because despite everything, I am proud. She's going to be a good doctor. She's smart, compassionate, dedicated. But another part of me knows that going means opening a door I've worked very hard to close. It means risking getting hurt again. It means potentially falling back into old patterns where I give everything and get breadcrumbs in return. People ask me if I regret how I handled things, if I was too harsh, if I should have given her a second chance right away, if I should have tried to work things out with Christine. Here's what I know. I spent 17 years being the man who showed up, who sacrificed, who loved someone else's child as my own. And the moment it mattered most, when she had to choose, I wasn't chosen. That's not anger talking. It's just reality. I don't hate Emma. I really don't. I don't even hate Christine or Paul. Hate takes energy I don't have anymore. I gave everything I had, and it wasn't enough. Not because I didn't do enough, but because I was never going to be enough. I was always going to be just Dave, the backup plan, the ATM machine, the guy who married her mom. So I chose myself. Finally, after 62 years of life, I chose myself. I chose a life where I'm not constantly proving my worth, where my contributions are recognized, where I'm not the backup plan or the safety net, where I matter because of who I am, not because of what I can provide. Some people call what I did revenge. They say I was cruel to cut Emma off when she needed me most, that I abandoned her the same way Paul did. But I don't see it that way. Paul abandoned a 4-year-old child who needed him. I walked away from a 8-year-old woman who made a conscious choice to diminish my role in her life. Those are not the same things. I don't see it as revenge. I see it as justice, as self-respect, as finally understanding that love isn't supposed to be this hard. Emma wanted her real father. She got him. And she learned what I already knew. Showing up is what makes you real. Not biology. Not last names. Not blood. Just showing up. Every single day. For 17 years, I showed up. And when I finally stopped, everyone acted like I was the villain. Like I owed them more. Like my 17 years of presence meant I wasn't allowed to have boundaries or self-respect. But here's the truth. I didn't abandon Emma. Emma abandoned me long before I ever walked away. She just didn't notice until the money stopped. Until the support system crumbled. Until she needed something and realized I wasn't there anymore. I'm at peace with my decision. Most days, anyway. I sleep well at night in my house overlooking the ocean. I have coffee with Diane on Saturday mornings and we talk about art and books and the small joys of life. I mentor young architects at the firm who remind me why I love this profession in the first place. Emma is going to be fine. She's smart, capable, and resilient. She'll build a good life for herself, even without my money, even without my presence. She has Marcus, she has her mother, she has her career. She'll be okay. As for whether I'll ever forgive her, whether I'll show up to that white coat ceremony next week, I honestly don't know yet. What I do know is this. I'm not just Dave anymore. I'm David. David Brennan, 62 years old, architect, kayaker, book club member, Habitat for Humanity volunteer, Diane's Saturday morning coffee companion. I'm a man who spent 17 years being the father someone else didn't want to be. And I did a damn good job. But I'm also a man who knows his worth now. Who understands that giving everything doesn't mean you have to accept nothing in return. For the first time in 17 years, that's enough. I'm enough. Not because someone else validated me. Not because I proved myself worthy. Not because I sacrificed until there was nothing left. Just because I am. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Not for Emma. For me, I spent 17 years trying to earn a place in a family that was never quite mine. Trying to prove I was worth keeping. Trying to be good enough that they'd choose me. But I was asking the wrong question all along. The question was never, am I good enough for them? The question was, are they good enough for me? And in the end, the answer was no. So I walked away. Not because I stopped caring, but because I finally started caring about myself. That's not revenge. That's just self-respect. And after 62 years, it's about damn time.